Time for today's Friday history update. Here's your briefing for today. So as you can see, we're in the Union. You can probably hear some of the noise coming out of the bowling alley, which is back over this way, back behind me over there. But where we are at is at the end of this long hallway that goes down through here. And we are outside of the Dean of Students office. It was recently renovated, so they haven't put a new sign up yet that tells you that it's the Dean of Students office. But there's a sign back here, points to the Dean of Students office, lets you know. So why are we doing a history of the Dean of Students office? Well, it's actually kind of fascinating. late 1800s, early 1900s, the university created the position Dean of Women for all the patriarchal time reasons that you would think of to have a Dean of Women back then. We didn't create a Dean of Men until after World War I. And we didn't create one, we created two. So we had two Deans of Men and two different Deans of Men positions and a Dean of Women's position, all the way up through World War II. And during World War II, when the campus became so heavily populated with military students, we actually had several thousand more military students than we had regular students at the university. The Dean of Men, Dean of Women positions, particularly the Dean of Men, sort of faded out and got mixed up in a number of other sort of roles and things that were going on. And the person that was actually kind of functioning as the head of most of student life at the time was the commandant of all military personnel at IU, the professor of military science, a guy named Colonel Raymond Shoemaker. Shoemaker was kind of functioning in this role of overseeing student life for the military students and a lot of the work that was going on. So much so that when the war ended in 1946, Herman Wells created the position of Dean of Students, which was a position over the Dean of Men and Dean of Women to kind of consolidate these efforts and coordinate them across the board. And in his mind, who better to do that than Raymond Shoemaker? So Colonel Raymond Shoemaker recently retired from the Army, became the first Dean of Students. He was followed later by Bob Schaefer, also a World War II vet. This is his picture back here behind us, outside of the office. And so we had a whole series out of our 8 Deans of Students that we've had at IU since 1946 when the position was created. 4 of them have been veterans. We've had 7 men, 1 woman that have held that title, Dean of Students, and 4 of them have been veterans. And so there's a little bit of history there about how the military helped create the Dean of Students position here at IU. That's your briefing for today. We'll see you next week.